Miami fans, you've been waiting for these coordinator and coaching vacancies to be filled. Bam. Here they came over the past few days. We will review them all, of course, and get our take from Cam Underwood from State of the U, Miami Hurricanes live right here, the voice of college football. Please, of course, leave your comments and questions right there in the live chat for the next 60 minutes. Hey, Cam, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Sorry, I was just starting my Duolingo lesson for the day in the background there, just to remember so that I don't miss a day. I'm at 100 and I don't even know what now. Working on my Espanol, so yeah, really trying to focus on that. But yeah, no, I'm good. Like I said, I had a good day off. Had a good workout today. Trying to get back in the gym and take care of myself a little bit. So hopefully that this round visage that you're looking at slims down a little bit over the course of some time. But, hey man, yeah, I had a good day, and obviously the Canes have had some good days, plural, in building a coaching staff with some announcements and some other things coming. So yeah, got lots to talk about. Let's get it.
I was in the gym today for the first time in about a month myself. I hurt my back about a month ago. Not that I was religiously hitting the gym before that, but yeah, it didn't hurt it badly. But I hurt my neck and my left shoulder pretty bad. And it's been progressively better. Took a very light workout today. Nothing to be too proud of, but back in the gym. Hey, all right.
A small step is still a step, my friend.
That's it. That's what it was. A very small, light step. I told somebody before I left that I was going to be lifting weights like a little girl. Not that I can brag about what I typically lift, but right. There we go. All right. Well, I will go with the one of the coordinator positions and the latest, which would be Josh Gattis on the offensive side, moving from Michigan to Miami, and reportedly receiving a nice little boost in pay for it.
Yeah. I put up a tweet from State of the U today, but me and Josh Gattis leaving the state of Michigan or University of Michigan to come down to Miami. So following the path that I blazed, Josh, you're welcome for that. Completely joking, guys, obviously. But yeah, man.
I'm going to check out this tweet. That's what
the
I'm doing.
Broyles Award winner as the nation's best assistant coach is Josh Gattis. Has worked in a number of places. He worked at Alabama, Penn State, and then most recently, Penn State, Alabama, and then most recently Michigan, where he was offensive coordinator for a Wolverines offense that, had 3,200 yards rush passing, 3,400 yards rushing, 37 points a game, made the college football playoff. You could do much worse than that. This is where Mario Cristobal, the force of that personality comes in, and the support of finances comes in, because he said, look, we're going big game fishing. We're going and we're looking for, elite people. And that was before the Gattis thing had actually come out. And then the leak, the rumor came, or the first report, I should say, the first report came. And it was, if you notice, everything's been from the other team's side. The first report came from the Michigan side that Josh Gattis is leaving. Another coach, it came from the school that they used to be at, that they're leaving, not from the Miami side leaving things out, because in a way that's different than the prior head coach who had all that political experience. Mario has rooted out any and all snitches and leaks. So it's coming from the other side, not from our side, it seems. Anyway, yeah, Josh Gattis said, look, it would have taken a great, incredible brand, program, name to get me up out of Michigan. And Miami is that, and I'm very excited. And the first tweet he put up yesterday before the announcement today, but he said day one, he said, look, I've been blessed to work at lots of other places and bring them championships in capital letters. Excited to be at the University of Miami and see what we can build. So again, and no, it's not been a national championship at every place, although it was at Alabama. The standard is championships, division, conference, national. That's where we're looking, not 8-4. That is not the goal. That is not the standard at the University of Miami. And he knows that. We have this $8 million pool for assistants that that's been reported and talked about for so long. And yeah, Josh Gattis got a nice little chunk of that. So he's getting more money to come up here, or come down here, I should say. And so, yeah, you get one of I mean, not one of, well, yeah, in general, one of the best assistants in the country, the best assistant by the award this past year. And he's a very good recruiter. He's going to coach wide receivers as well. And that sets Miami up in a good spot with several guys that he was recruiting to the University of Michigan, like Jaylen Brown from Gulliver Prep, 5-star wide receiver. Like some of these other guys, like Dante Moore, 5-star quarterback from Detroit Martin Luther King High School, who was the singular focus for Michigan's quarterback recruiting to this point of the cycle. Now, we know that elite players, it's going to take a 2 or 3 year cycle to really recruit them. But insofar as he had been there, it was Dante Moore and the Pips. And not even with the Pips, it was Dante Moore and silence in terms of recruiting quarterbacks. Me, myself, personally, y'all know this. I said it. I'm a Nicholas Iamaleava guy. That's who I want. Get him out of Cali from wherever, Downey High School, bring him over here. That's the guy I want, Nicholas Iamaleava. That's my number one quarterback. That's the one I want. But if I have to settle from Dante from Detroit King High, look, man, I'll settle for the number 4 quarterback, a 5-star, versus the number 3 quarterback, a 5-star. You know what I mean? But that's the kind of focus we're having. But yeah, getting Josh Gattis is a big step. And look, might not have gotten him if Brian McClendon was still here. You know, because he coaches wide receivers more than like quarterbacks and things like that. It might not have been a really comfortable thing. But, you know, you come in and say, hey, look, this role that you've had, the one that you're very good at, wide receivers coach and offensive coordinator, we're going to give you that. It's going to be here with this group. You're going to recruit your ass off. We're going to go win some games. And this is going to set you on the path for a head coaching job, even more so than at Michigan, because you've already proven it there. Now, if you go and come and prove it here and demonstrate and have the same kind of performance that you had over there, you're going to get a job. And if that's your goal, this is the path forward. Even more than staying at Michigan with Harbaugh, who may or may not, or da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Josh Gattis, offensive coordinator. Love it.
Before we move on to the Kevin Steele hire on the defensive side of the ball, we've got a comment coming in from Mr. HD. This is beautiful, because this is the place where I live every day in regards to having people either not correctly take what I state, or of course they hear it through the proverbial lens of their fandom. Okay, what I stated the other day, and we went live as soon as the news broke that Josh Gattis was moving from Michigan to Miami. So we're on the Miami channel, we're on the Michigan channel, and I'm giving my opinion. This is what I stated. I stated, you can look at this 2 different ways. Okay. Of course, the Miami fans chose to take the one path. I said, you can look at this 2 different ways. You can have the perspective that this is a downgrade, because if you just look at the tangibles, the record, what is going on and what has gone on at the recent past, we're talking about a Big Ten championship team that finishes in the top 10 to 15 in the country, not just this past season, but over the Jim Harbaugh era. They have been consistently a 9-3, 10-2 team that is contended highly in the national rankings, just won a Big Ten championship, went to the playoff. Okay. Miami just went 7-5. That's been a fairly typical season for a Miami program that's been a 58% winner over the past 15 years. So if we're just looking at black and white in regards to the numbers, the tangibles, I said you could consider this a downgrade. Okay. I continued and said, or you could consider it a lateral move, because even though Michigan is the better team today, just today, and has been the better program and the better team over for the most part over the past 7 or 8 years under the current tenure of Jim Harbaugh, you could look at the upside of Miami in regards to recruiting, bringing in a first-rate coach in Mario Cristobal. Again, the recruiting footprint being what it is, has a much higher ceiling than what they enjoy there at Michigan, of course, because they've got to leave the state to go get most of their football team. I could say then if you put all that together, you could consider it a lateral move. But of course, not everyone listened to the complete answer that I gave.
Yeah, and that'll happen. That's like I was just talking with a friend of mine about when I was blogging about James Blackman as a recruit before he made his decision. That if you looked at him as a player, you could see 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, or 2-star, depending on what you focused on with that player. And that would have been just like, oh, well, you're saying that James Blackman is a 2-star and he doesn't deserve the scholarship at Florida State or anywhere that it is. Like, no, there were some other things that were said, but you focus on the one part. So, yeah, I mean, and that makes sense. Yeah, on the way that you look at it. And yeah, 171 wins over the last 20 years. True. If you expand out the time horizon. Correct. Right. Yes, indeed. If you're an impartial viewer, Mr. HD, you are Bob Jones from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, right? What program would you say, based upon the 2021 season, is better right now, based upon what you saw on the field last year? Not about who you want to be better, not about how things could potentially be trending, but the last time we saw them play football, right? Who would you say is the better program at present? The answer is the University of Michigan. And that's just a fact, right? And yeah, you can, and by extending it out the last 20 years, that changes the time horizon, that keeps in when Miami was actually good, and performing well on the field. But if you shorten that time horizon in the last decade, I don't think that it's going to be the same, and it's not crazy to say that they have been more successful than we have in the recent past, just because Miami has not been as successful as we want to be, right? So in terms of on-field performance last year, yes, you were stepping down from a team that went to the college football playoff to a team that didn't even win their division. That's a clear step down on the basis of the on-field results last year. But I think that Mark also made a clear case that it's a lateral move with, sounding to me, like potential to move forward, like I talked about as well. Oh, Lord Jesus. When you come to the University of Miami. That's it. Sorry, I spilled something on my shirt earlier. I just saw it.
I'm not trying to project the future. It could be a step up. And I even stated that. It could be a step up. Michigan could continue to be a top 15 program, and there's nothing wrong with that. And certainly, and Miami could be elite in 2 or 3 years from now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just speaking to, and you could put the history of the two programs in different categories as well. We know that Miami's won 5 national championships since the early 80s, 1983, and Michigan's won 1, and Miami's had those just spurts of just greatest of all time type play, and Michigan has not really, other than 1997. But if you look at the entirety of the program over the entirety going all the way back to the beginning of time, Michigan, of course, is one of the pillars of the sport. So you can frame it up a number of ways.
Absolutely.
On to Kevin Steele, who has a tremendous track record of excellence in the SEC and elsewhere as a defensive coordinator, and he comes to Miami.
Yeah, he was going to go to Maryland, and then Mario Cristobal called and offered him a clear step up, I believe. We're continuing the conversation from the Gattis. Yeah, a clear step up opportunity here at Miami, and he took it. And so, yeah, he's going to be here, officially announced as the defensive coordinator, not doubling as linebackers coach, which I found to be interesting. One of our readers responded to the tweet where I said, yeah, Steele is not listed as linebackers coach. That's interesting. And somebody looked it up and said he's not doubled as DC and linebacker coach in at least 5 years. So that does create room on the staff for someone to coach linebackers. And the requirement also, because linebackers need to be coached and that play needs to improve. But yeah, he's a veteran. He's been coaching almost as long as I've been living, 38 years of experience in a multitude of areas and multitude of places, and just really damn good at his job, to be perfectly frank about it. So getting him is a big win for Miami. We will see how things go with him as defensive coordinator. The caveat that I'm going to lob here is we need to pay attention to what happens at Auburn, because Kevin Steele tried to pull a coup to get that job up off of Gus Malzahn before that coup attempt did not work. And then he was obviously relieved to do this because I can't have somebody trying to take my job on my staff. Gus Malzahn gets fired. They bring Brian Harsin. And Brian Harsin, who they're trying to fire for cause. Like, they literally updated a policy of full compliance or something. I literally just saw Bud Elliott saw this and tweeted it with the University of Auburn link, right? And it's basically saying that you must cooperate with any investigation or any questioning when asked with immediacy. And basically the story is Brian Harsin's on vacation in Cancun. Auburn said, you need to come back and we need to talk about whatever's going on. And he's like, no, I'm on vacation and I'm not going to get back. I'm not coming back to get fired. You know, basically pay me what you owe me, but I'm not getting fired for cause. So then they update this university policy and literally write in cause dated yesterday on the 8th of February of the year of our Lord 2022. Like, go look it up. It's on my Twitter account. They literally just redid this or updated this policy and posted it and dated it yesterday to try to give themselves cause to fire him. And I mean, when you're fired with cause, that means we're not paying you anything. Get out. Don't even pack anything. We will send you your shit, kind of thing, right? If that comes to pass, or if they come to an agreement and decide, hey, everyone's going to go in a different direction, coach and university. And some of the other things that I've heard rumored behind the scenes with Auburn and Brian Harsin. Oh boy. I'm not going to put those out there. If you've heard it, you've heard it. If you've seen it, you've seen it. If not, I do not know if these things are true. But buddy, if they are, yikes.
Yeah.
And still, if they come to either fire him for cause or just say, hey, look, your dirty laundry is going on Front Street unless you take this 30% buyout and leave right now. And nothing is said, and we will all move on, but you know and I know what happened, but that's why we're getting the discount to get you out of here. Come what may, if he gets put through the door, Kevin Steele has to be on the short list for head coach at Auburn. And I think he went there, he coached there a couple times. Like, he, like I said, tried to stage a coup to get that head coaching job. That is one, like Brian McClendon at Georgia, his alma mater, a school that he loves. When they come calling, he might probably be going, and especially with, again, actions in the past that indicate that he desires to have that head coaching job. So I just want to throw it out there. He is very good as a defensive coordinator. I would love to have him on this team, and we're moving forward with him as our defensive coordinator. Aggression, speed, tackling, which was shade at the last staff, because when you mentioned that in the announcement, and then the coach says that's definitely shade, because we were the worst tackling team in Power 5 football last year. But yeah, Kevin Steele's a big get. I would just say beware of the storm clouds in the future coming from the plains of Alabama, circling over the University of Auburn.
Yeah, it's quite a potential scandal. And again, I'm not going to speak to some of the off the field rumors and otherwise, but Brian Harsin losing control of the program, whether that's his undoing, it appears to be, but whether that's his actions or just a lot of convergence of a lot of bad things happening to him. Mm-hmm. They had a pretty good football program for the first half of the season at 6-2 and beat some really good teams like Ole Miss and Arkansas. And then they lost the Final Five, and he didn't have Bo Nix for most of that run. They were 6-2 when he lost Bo Nix in the third quarter of a game against Mississippi State, and they blew a 25-point lead, and it was all downhill after that. Yeah. And then you add the losses at 6-7 versus what they got to compete and be up against in that state. I consider it maybe the toughest football job in the country when you look at the expectations versus what they have to overcome. They have to play Georgia every season in addition to playing in the SEC West. And then, of course, they lost both coordinators. And it's not a good look when Derek Mason moves from, well, you talk about, we could have the same argument here concerning Oklahoma State and Auburn. I would say Auburn's a better football program historically than Oklahoma State. But today, throw your hands up. I don't know. But Derek Mason moves on for a reported $400,000 less to leave Brian Harsin and go coach defense at Oklahoma State. That's not a good look for a guy that's as accomplished as Derek Mason, especially when you figure he knows what he's doing and he knows how a football program should be run, and he's getting out of Dodge.
You fire one offensive coordinator, the one that you bring in from the NFL quits. You know, I mean, obviously the thing is, well, it's personal reasons. There's nothing to do with anything else. I mean, it could be. I don't necessarily believe that on its face. It sounds and smells like something else. But all that being said, Kevin Steele, Miami defensive coordinator. But if movement happens at Auburn, that should get your attention as a Miami fan.
CW Hurricane Logan, appreciate you being here, man. The statement here is been displayed that Miami will pay. Over time, losing coaches won't be a huge deal. It'll transition into how Bama loses coaches, just gotta win.
Well, I mean, if we're able or willing to spend money, the answer to that is yeah, or I agree. You know, like, again, you bring in Brian McClendon with you from Oregon, a very, very high performer at his job. He moves on to Georgia. Cool. We go get Josh Gattis, the literal Broyles Award winner, as offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach, with a bump in pay. That's how you replace somebody who leaves, you know, not by saying, okay, we're going to go to the bargain basement bin. Oh, Eddie, good catch. I didn't see that before the show. You know, but yeah, like you lose McClendon and then you bring in, you know, Gattis. That's how you do it. And if Miami continues to financially support the athletic department and football program in such a way, that should be how it is moving forward, Logan. I agree.
What happened with the helmet display actually was, I was talking to Cam before we started to record. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a white helmet that I thought was the Miami helmet. It was the Texas helmet, and I put it behind me.
Gotcha.
We have a super sticker, I believe, coming in from our guy Falconer X. Thank you so much for being here. As always, man, you are consistent, if nothing else, and a rabid Miami fan. We appreciate your comments and your contributions, sir. All right. We also have some assistant hirings to run down, so I will let you cut loose on those.
Jamil Adai from Georgia, their defensive back coach, is coming over to Miami. He's already posted his thank you very much to the University of Georgia. It was a great time. Thank you for Coach Kirby. Smart and everything, but my journey is going to continue elsewhere. Boom. Miami has not announced him yet. I think they're waiting to do all the rest of the assistants at the same time, but you get one for the offensive coordinator, one for the defensive coordinator announcement, you know, individual. But Jamil Adai, one of the best defensive backs coaches. First of all, he played at West Virginia, went to the league for a while, and then he coached up a bunch of teams, including West Virginia, to having one of the best passing defenses in America a few years ago, if you don't remember that. That was Jamil Adai. He moves on to Georgia. You see the Georgia secondary. Obviously, they win a national championship. And monster on the recruiting trail. I've talked with some people who do not necessarily agree with all of the recruits that he is credited for getting. However, even if it's not 100%, go look up the list, because we ran down the list for McClendon. Because remember, when it was rumored, I was like, I'm not sure. Then I looked it up and I was like, oh, hey, wait, I was wrong. I looked up Jamil Adai before I even had a chance to really formulate an idea, because I was like, yo, if you're coaching DBs at Georgia, you got to be good, right? Yeah. Look at all the 4 and 5 stars that are on his recruiting list, including in this last class. Like, yeah, he's kind of that guy. Been reported that he signed a 2-year deal, not a 1-year, as defensive backs coach here. Obviously, coaches leave deals all the time, but coming on down, yeah, just energy, incredible coaching acumen, and by demonstrated performance over many years, and another dynamic recruiter. So I saw somebody tweet it, but really at this point, it's looking like we traded Brian McClendon to Georgia for Josh Gattis and Jamil Adai. I'm taking that trade any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Much as I love McClendon and want him to be here, if we got to trade you to get the Broyles Award winner and that monster as a defensive backs coach, I mean, where do you want me to send your stuff? See ya. Bye. Because I'm going to take those two. You know what I mean? So you have that. Frank Ponce from Appalachian State. They're play calling offensive coordinator. All right. So I want this to be clear. He's the man who called plays for them. Right. He's leaving there to come home to Miami to be the quarterback's coach and the quarterback's coach only, not co-offensive coordinator in title from what's been reported. He will be the quarterback's coach exclusively. That, again, is a huge win for Mario Cristobal because if you look at the Appalachian State offense, you get Chase Bryce, who's extra regular, to be a 3,400-yard passer with 27 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. Like that offense, we saw firsthand, inside, outside zone. They're doing all kinds of different things. They're moving players around. They're getting guys the ball in space. They're utilizing all that talent. Frank Ponce installed that, built that, called plays for them, and is giving that up to be the quarterback's coach here. That's another big power move. And again, if you're looking to move forward, if you're Frank Ponce, now I have now, and look, he's not coming in with the dregs of the earth and trying to get somebody to be average. You're coming in with Tyler Van Dyke, who you could make the case is the best returning quarterback in America, non-Bryce Young division. But you can make that case, right? So you're coming in with, really top performer. How do you make them even better? And now look, I've been at these other places. He coached with Cristobal at FIU back in the day. So there's that personal connection as well. But coached there, go to App State, work my way up to be the play calling offensive coordinator, which is crazy, right? Which is good. Leave there in the mountains of West Virginia, of North Carolina, come back home to Miami as quarterback's coach, elevate either at Miami or somewhere else. So if you're looking to be a play calling offensive coordinator elsewhere in the Power 5, or Frank Ponce, a young man in this game, and he's looking to be a head coach down the line, again, this is another centering move to be able to get forward up the other side. And I think, on title, of course, it's a step back. It's a clear step back from play calling offensive coordinator to only quarterback position coach. But the quarterback position coach job at Miami is a more prestigious job than the play calling offensive coordinator at Appalachian State. And it will enable him probably to move forward. So, yeah, it's and Daniel Cedeno, if it's QB coach and passing game coordinator, so you can pay him a little bit more, hey, even better, bro. Like, that's great. And everybody, of course, is saying that Frank Ponce is being groomed to be the next offensive coordinator if and when Josh Gattis leaves for a head coaching job. That could very well be true. And I tweeted this before. To get Frank, because people were talking about Frank Ponce coming over as a lateral from offensive coordinator at App State to offensive coordinator here. No. Need another couple mango seasons. Not ready for that right now. But coming over as QB coach / passing game coordinator and elevating eventually to offensive coordinator if Josh Gattis leaves. And again, that's not a certainty. Why? Miami has money. We don't have to go that relatively cheap route of staying interior and elevating. Now, if Frank Ponce demonstrates that he's the guy, right? And you can also say, look, I learned some stuff at App State. I've done some stuff here, and I'm willing to, and I've learned how to put those things together, melding in with your idea of being physical, even in a different way than we did at App State, because clearly we didn't have, big boy bully size, right? But put all that together, I'm ready for the OC job. You can say, what? Yes, Frank. This is why I brought you with me at FIU. This is why I've been watching you over there at App State. This is exactly what it is. If that is the move that Mario chooses to make, yes. But that is not a requirement that we need to go and do that. To the person who said that Josh Gattis is getting fired after 1 year, what kind of performance would need to happen to precipitate him being fired after 1 year in Miami? Honestly and truly.
I believe our guy Lewis is a great supporter of the show, and he's all over the place watching all the shows. But I believe Lewis is he's going to kill me if I don't get this right, because I think he's a Michigan fan. I think Lewis is a Michigan fan.
First of all, go blue. Grew up in Detroit, went to a bunch of Michigan games, but unless it's something off the field or being fired for cause, I struggle to find a reason. Is it in the world of realm of possibilities? If Miami goes 0-12 and scores 1 point a game and turns the ball over 57 times and fine. I just don't think that that's going to happen. So what kind of reasonable performance then would need to be seen from that coach and that coach's unit, offense in total and wide receivers specifically, to precipitate being fired after 1 year? I just don't see it.
Okay, if I'm going to take in Josh Gattis' performance at Michigan and try to be balanced and fair about this, okay, he just won the Broyles Award, which would point to it's given to the best assistant in college football. The Michigan offense was 16th in scoring, 25th in total yards, but I think more effective than those numbers would indicate because they weren't the type of offense that like their rival to the south is throwing the ball all over the field constantly, for big plays. They wanted to beat up on people. That was their primary focus. And that's one of the reasons why I think Josh Gattis is a great fit for this offense. What I saw him do for Michigan. Now, if we were going to poll people, especially Michigan fans at this time last year on their performance grade of Josh Gattis, they weren't real happy with him. He arrived from Alabama as a speed and space guy, and people questioned as to how that would fit under Jim Harbaugh, with whether Jim Harbaugh would let him cut loose and do what he wanted, or there would be a melding of philosophies, or what that would look like. The 2-4 2020 season aside, Michigan football they've been good on offense and not been prolific or great, but under Harbaugh, they've done what they do in regards to being a little more conventional style of an offense than you see throughout the country for the most part. Then we bring in Gattis. Okay, mixed reviews going into, and again, I'm going to discount the 6 games. They did count on the record, but 2-4 season is obviously not what Michigan has been otherwise under Harbaugh. Okay, what I saw was, and I was really impressed by this as I saw it unfold throughout the season, because they started out super run heavy, like running heavy percentage wise with military academies the first 3 or 4 games of the season.
Yeah, they were.
Like they had some 8 pass games in that range, 8 to 11 pass attempts. Okay, they came out against Wisconsin, and that was really the first big opponent they played them on the road. They opened it up, threw for like 260, and they show, okay, they were saving this and they were working on this. Okay, what I saw out of Michigan's offense was they were somehow, and I was impressed with this, able to maintain that tough guy identity where Hassan Haskins, first and foremost, he's going to pop you in the mouth 32 times, but we're going to get more creative, with our 12 to 15 play calls out of the rest of the offense. And I thought that they were much more effective in utilizing the speed and talent that they had with Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum and guys, Andrew Anthony on the outside, but maintained that Michigan bully offensive line, Hassan Haskins identity. And they had a really good, effective offense.
Yeah, and I mean, as I'm looking at it, the first 4 games were 17, 15, 17, and 16 in terms of pass attempts. After that, there was 1 game fewer than 28, and that was the O State game because they were up, and then they eventually leaned on, on them to secure the win. You know what I mean? But yeah, there was obviously the pace and space kind of thing coming from Alabama, and then it switched up because Harbaugh wanted to go with that. But that's more of a crystal ball kind of mentality. But I would say maybe not as run heavy, maybe a step back towards balance with a little bit more, in the pass game. But yeah.
The Woods is here contributing. We thank you so much for being here. Appreciate that. And the comment here is, it feels so rewarding to be a loyal Hurricanes fan. We've suffered so long, Hurricanes gang, the complete overall from the hires of the AD Radovic to Super Mario down to all the exceptional assistant coaches.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And the thing about it, people are like, oh, well, you're fair weather fans or bad fans and everything. Y'all all know because y'all are here with me every week and everything. Been here in storm and sunshine. Like, after the Notre Dame game, after the Duke return game, after all those, and then after the Clemson loss, after, Florida State losses and things like that, through, again, in storm and sunshine, like a bleed orange and green, I've been here. And you all have been with, the Hurricanes through this whole time as well. And yeah, it seems that things are going in a positive direction. We're spending money. We're getting the kind of coaches that we want to be here. It seems like we, obviously did well with recruiting with the 5th highest per player star average in America. Now, the quantity was low, but the quality was unassailably high. I was going back and forth with Mike Farrell from Rivals about this, and he's like, oh, yeah, like there's a small class with Cristobal. I said, cool, you talked about the quantity. Let's talk about the quality. He's like, well, they're 15th. And I was like, yeah, but like, if we're talking about this small size, right? Because the next smallest class was ranked, 57th, I think we looked up last week. So if you're talking about in terms of quantity, that's where, par would be. If then that small number of players is ranked 15th, that then speaks to the incredibly extraordinarily high quality of the component pieces of that group. Do you not agree, Mike? And he's like, well, 15th is not good enough. And I'm like, see, but you're missing the point, sir. You know what I mean? With all due respect to him, I'm not saying that he's bad at his job or anything like that, but you cannot have it both ways. You cannot say that there's a small group, and then when I say, okay, let's talk about the quality of the individuals of that group, you're like, oh, it's 15th. It's actually way higher than that because of the dearth of numbers, which you just said. It's simple math. It's simple math. If you have very few players and a very high total rating at the end, that means that the quality of the players of the few that you have is incredibly high. It does not, can I get $100, Mark? Cool. Do you want 100 ones? No, let me get a $100 bill. That has more value. It is very simple. And like, and to pretend like you don't understand that and be like, oh, well, like, yeah, well, I ranked it and like you just want to, come in here and bash and denigrate and things like that. No, I don't. But if you're talking about the dearth of numbers, then let's also talk about the incredible quality of the numbers that comprise that group. That's all that I'm saying.
To me, both numbers are meaningful. So there's a reason why both are there to be reviewed.
Exactly.
Football is a sport of quantity. You need quantity of players, so that number's there to be reviewed, 15th in the country. But also, there is the same number of scholarships and roster spots given to every program in the country. Therefore, if you're bringing in a small class any particular year, transfer portal aside, because that's created another variable that wasn't there a few years ago to a very small degree. But anyway, that if you have a small class one year or a large class, then that's probably going to be balanced out within the next few years with either larger or smaller classes. And what the per player rating at 5th in the country tells me is that you have your coaching staff, I'm not going to say has proven, but they've given strong indication that they can bring in that level of player is what it indicates.
Absolutely. And again, we can talk about all those guys. Nigel Kelly, he was not coming here until Mario Cristobal came here. Jaleel Skinner, same thing. Wanted to come here, but really wasn't necessarily sold with Manny Diaz. Cristobal comes in and, you have the Friday of the early signing period. And, much like with another situation previous, Alabama was fully expecting his national letter of intent. Fully expecting. And that never came because like we, we're able to do what we're able to do. But yeah, it all goes together. And Mario Cristobal, like I said, after National Signing Day last week, did say that, there's going to be some movement still. The other thing, sorry, Josh Gattis was the lead recruiter for Joshua Connerly Jr., the All-American left tackle from Seattle, Washington, when he was at Michigan. So, not saying like, it's not a direct correlation, but if Miami wants to put themselves in the best possible scenario to be able to get the commitment from the Anthony Munoz Offensive Lineman of the Year nationally, it's not a bad move to make. But yeah, this class, this next class is going to be, I think it's going to be bigger in number. I think that Miami has a very strong chance to contend for top 5 nationally in terms of recruiting class in 2023. And if you look at everybody who's on staff, it seems to be that linebacker is the open spot on the staff because you get 10 assistants. So Cristobal is your head coach. You have Mirabal, obviously, is all offensive line and assistant head coach. You got Kevin Smith at running back. You got Gattis at wide receivers and offensive coordinator. Looks like you're getting Frank Ponce at quarterback coach. I think Stephen Field is going to stay at tight end. And Cristobal hired Field away from Louisville at Oregon for an off-field role a couple of years ago with the plan to put him on field the subsequent year, but Miami hired him to come back home because he's from here and played at Miami, if you didn't know that about Stephen Field. And he's going to stay, it seems. You have Kevin Steele, defensive coordinator, Joe Salavea as defensive line coach. Cristobal mentioned maybe, or Gabby Arrudia from 247 used to be a contributor at State of the U, said he heard a rumor that there might be a desire to split the defensive line and have a defensive ends and tackles coach, with Salavea doing tackles and then somebody doing ends. That's potentially possible. Jamil Adai at defensive backs coach. There was a tweet today about from Cristobal about DeMarcus Van Dyke. I know that that's been a big point of contention with people. It seems that he's going to stay around. It is my hope that he gets an on-field role as cornerbacks coach. And I'm not saying that you need to go in a budget direction or, in every situation. But all of the great coaches that you can think of and know, they started somewhere. And it seems to me that DeMarcus Van Dyke can be at the beginning of a very, 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 very impressive coaching career. From what he did off the field for a couple of years before he came on as the cornerbacks on-field coach last year in the world of recruiting and everything. So many players have talked about him being real, what he's done in securing talent and things like that through the recruiting process. I think that if you're going to okay, this is someone's first chance kind of a thing to learn and grow on the job. I think DeMarcus Van Dyke is the guy for that. I think that he's like that. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. I'm going to make the analogy that he's like a 5-star upcoming coach. And so I would like to see that. And it seems that there's been whatever behind the scenes worked out because Cristobal mentioned him by name and he put then DVD put up a tweet, I'm just a kid from Miami, whatever. So I hope that in that case, then that would be that. So again, just really quick, Ponce, Smith, Gattis, Mirabal, Field, that's 5 on offense. Steele, DVD, Adai, Salavea on defense makes 9. So then you need a linebackers coach and someone to take special teams. If those are true. Now, if they're able to get DVD to stay and not be on field, then you have 2 spots. So then you would have linebackers, special teams, linebackers and a flex coach, and you would need to assign the special teams responsibility to somebody. It would be interesting to see who gets that special teams tag because that usually goes to people who down the line are trying to position themselves to be head coaches. Because if you look at the NFL, a lot of interim coaches and guys who end up, elevating eventually, they're special teams coaches because they deal with the whole team. If you see somebody get fired in the middle of the season, there's been a couple of studies about that. Like more often than not, you're going to get the special teams coach to step up. So we have, depending on, now there's not been an announcement about any of the positional assistants yet. Any of the other ones that did not come over from Oregon because you needed to kind of put it out there that they're over here and actually working. So there's not been an announcement about Stephen Field, but again, I'm pretty sure he's going to be here because again, I'm not saying that everybody's going to be a homeboy hookup or whatnot, but Cristobal hired him previously. And he just got Jaleel Skinner away from Alabama on the last day of the national signing of the early signing period. If that doesn't give you another at least 1 year reprieve, I don't know what does. So there's not been any announcement about that. So I think that there's either 8 or 9 on staff, depending on how it actually goes. And then we would need the other 1 to 2 to fill out the staff.
Kim alludes to Connerly, the offensive tackle from the state of Washington, who is the number 1 or 2 rated offensive tackle in the country, a top 10 player in the country. And he's still on the board. He is the highest ranked player by far still on the board. I think he's the only top 250 player still on the board. So what is what are the time parameters on when he can wait to sign?
Well, I mean, you have all the way up until April. I think the window's open. Okay. March or April.
You just don't see that often.
You don't see it often. And the thing about it that's different is the fact that he plays basketball at Rainier Beach in Seattle. And that is Like Brandon Roy went there. If you remember that name from,
Sure.
the past of, college basketball. As I sit here and I'm playing college basketball on my PS3, sorry. But in college basketball and pro basketball, like he went out there. I think he coaches there now. A bunch of other guys have come through that program, like Jamal Crawford, who went to Michigan and was sixth man of the year, like every year in the NBA for like 17 years, 20 years in a row. And a bunch of that's like the legacy program in that area that's the spotlight, number one. That's I'm from Detroit, right? That's your Detroit Country Day basketball of the Seattle area, and they take it very seriously and he takes it very seriously. So he's like, yo, I would rather be here and play in these games and tournaments and things like that and push with this elite program for another championship versus taking official visits in the middle of the heart of the basketball season. So he's waiting until the end of the season to go and take his 2 remaining visits and things. That's why we got him in when we did early before things really kicked up with basketball, but he didn't take the other 2 visits because of timing, just because of the basketball season. So yeah, he's going to wait more until the March, April towards the deadline to sign than obviously right now, but very unique in that he has all the choices. He's not, your 5'10" wide receiver who might be a step too slow and is waiting to see if somebody doesn't qualify at Western Kentucky to slide in there. He's not that. He's everybody's All-American and can call up any school in America tomorrow and be like, hey, coach, doesn't matter the coach, doesn't matter the school. I'm coming. Josh, we got a spot for you. We got your dorm room all picked out. What day are you going to be here? For spring or for summer 1? Cool. Summer A session starts then. We're going to send everything to you. Fax it back to me today, right now. They could be in a couples massage with their wife in Cabo. It could be Brian Harsin in Cabo on vacation. And he got that call from Joshua Connerly. And I guarantee you, if he didn't go back to Auburn, his phone or that phone connection would go back to Auburn. He would say, hey, Susie in the office, I need you to fax this or check the whatever today, right now. That's the kind of talent that he has. But yeah, it's going to take a little bit.
400 plus on the line. Appreciate you folks being here at the Voice of College Football. Cam's weekly session with us, and we appreciate that and hope all of you do as well. Each Wednesday night at 7 Eastern. And again, if you hit the bell for the notifications once you've subscribed, then you can keep up with when we do need to make schedule changes. And also, if you've got a business and would like to sponsor here at the Voice of College Football and want to find out what that's all about and how we can help you, please contact me at MarkRogersTV@gmail. And again, if you would like to bypass YouTube for any particular reason and hit me up at Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App, just please let us know that it's for the Miami Wednesday show. Super Sticker Terrence, thank you so much for that. We appreciate the contribution, sir.
Absolutely.
Folks want Josh Connerly, and that's understandable. He's elite.
Absolutely. Top 15, 10 player in America, top 3 at, worst tackle in time for spring ball. Wants to make visits and stuff. The visits were supposed to be to Michigan and somewhere else that he didn't get to visit. So I don't know about the Southeast, but maybe. Or maybe, his family wants to pay his way to come on down and take an unofficial. Now that Josh Gattis, the guy who was recruiting him to Michigan, or one of the key parts of that recruitment, is now here at Miami. Who knows? But yeah, definitely in March again after. I don't know that it's going to be in time for spring ball, but yeah.
You would think with NIL being what it is now that student athletes and their families would be more apt to take that step of faith, even if they don't have the resources immediately to take some trips that they normally
put
wouldn't.
It on credit and then pay it back with the NIL money. Plus, fact also, like the registration deadline at Miami is passed. So the in time for spring ball, nah, buddy. Like you already had to be enrolled. I looked that up before, but just a spring academic calendar Miami. Spring 22, as I look it up again, the last day for registration was Wednesday of the 26th of January. Last day for registration and to add a course. So you're not able to add any classes from here to the end of term. So how would you be able to, come to school all of a sudden in the middle if you can't add any classes? Just saying, just putting it out there. And I know, I don't mean to dunk on you or anything like that, but no, there is a timeline. So yeah, he's going to make a decision before maybe spring ball starts, but he will not be participating in spring ball because he's not registered at the University of Miami as of January the 26th. Interesting comment, the one that was just up there about Ja'Cory Brown being the national championship QB for the Canes in the future. I think that he's 3 QBs down. Or he's QB, he'd be the 3rd QB to play. He'd be the DJ Shockley. Tyler Van Dyke is going to start until Tyler Van Dyke wants to leave. After that, probably Jake Garcia, because Jake Garcia is, Jake Garcia and Tyler Van Dyke were neck and neck, and Jake Garcia was actually inching ahead, when he got injured. So on talent and ability, I'm not saying it's going to be the exact same, but that's the kind of player you're talking about, right? So it's my full expectation that Jake Garcia is the next quarterback if he doesn't leave, obviously. After Tyler Van Dyke, exhausts his eligibility or forgoes his eligibility, then it would be, maybe the Ja'Cory Brown after that. But Ja'Cory Brown is a couple of years of a project because he needs to get better as a passer. He's big and physical and everything, but he needs a couple mango seasons before he hits the field, and that's okay. Now, obviously it's going to be a battle because if Miami continues to recruit the way that we have been and everything, and you bring in a Dante Moore or a Nicholas Iamaleava, or we've allowed the offer to Arch Manning, the #1 player in America, Cooper Manning's kid. That's Peyton and Buddy, the other one.
Eli.
They're Peyton and Eli's nephew.
Right, with 2 Super Bowl rings. Yeah.
Eli with 2 Super Bowl rings. Yes, true. But yeah, so he's the nephew. He's the other older brother's kid. Lobbed one to him. And hey, mess around and get him down here. I'm not predicting that, but I'm saying that's the kind of talent that we're adding to the room, right? So if we're trying to stack talent and recruit over guys, that's incumbent upon the guys who are there to elevate their game, or they get passed over. You're fine with it being passed over at all kinds of other positions. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but you get passed over at quarterback as well. So definitely not an easy path towards making that message become true. But, hey, I'm here to see the battle.
Now with Arch Manning included in the mix, and who knows what his future is going to be if he reaches his ceiling and potential and falls right in line with the rest of them. The legacy of that family in college football in the NFL is ridiculous. It really is. The 3 #1 picks in the NFL. Crazy. All right. Cam Underwood, State of the U. Even though Archie, of course, had to toil with the Saints and didn't win. The other 2 made up with it with 4 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
Cam, we appreciate you stopping by. And when I say stop by, of course, you're not stopping by. You are the tenant of the pillar of the show here on Wednesday night, of course. And we appreciate everybody being here. Cam, next week, we should be able to make it happen. And we will see you then.
One of these weeks, I'm going to take a week off just for a personal week. I don't know if it's going to be next week or whatever. I'll let you guys know. But yeah, we appreciate you guys watching. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The State of the U. My personal Twitter account is at Underwood Sports, and I'm watching and playing, starting a new College Hoops 2K8 legacy. So I'll be tweeting about that heavily over the course of the next fictional 40 years of Coach J.C. Williams' career. Also, we are almost to the end of rider recruitment. I've extended some offers to some people to come on and help us create content at State of the U. I see them actually in there now working on their debut pieces and things like that. So we continue to push to bring in the best, to bring you and continue to be at the forefront of Miami Hurricanes commentary and analysis, setting and directing the conversation, because we've done that. We will do that. And we have done that. We are doing that. And we will continue to do that as long as I'm around. So that's my goal and focus. I'm going to get back in there more often myself with commentary and analysis. So if you've been missing that, get ready for it. And 24/7, 365, come on over and fan with us at stateoftheu.com. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Mark. And I will see you, if not next week, in a couple.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. See you soon.